Inside America's Boardrooms, the informational show for board members and corporate secretaries. Brought to you with knowledge partners NASDAQ, the Center for Audit Quality, and PwC. Along with content contributors Equilar, Meridian Compensation Partners, Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rosati, R.R. Donnelly, and the Society of Corporate Secretaries and Governance Professionals.
Welcome to this edition of Inside America's Boardrooms. I'm T.K. Kerstetter, the CEO of Boardroom Resources, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the show. We're going to be talking about skill sets that board committee chairs will need in the future. And we're fortunate to have an expert with us today, somebody that has experience in this field. And please welcome Hope Taitz, who's the current Governance Committee Chair for Diamond Resorts International. Welcome, Hope.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So I introduced you as the Governance Chair, but in fact, you've served as the Audit Chair, you've chaired the Strategy Committee, you've been involved in so you have a great test of being a chair. When you accepted any one of those positions, talk a little bit about what your game plan was to make sure that you were an effective board chair and you had a good committee.
The first thing is focus on cohesiveness. Bring your committee together, be a leader, onboard your new members so that they understand what the company is doing, and really be a liaison between management and your committee members. So interact between the two, set the right pace for your committee to function effectively. Make sure your board is constantly learning. Be a lifelong learner. So when you bring on a new board member, assign them somebody to walk them through the company, that really mentor them, and continue to engage them so that they want to be lifelong learners as well. So that they want to bring to each board meeting their opinions, but their opinions from an educated vantage point. Also, make sure you evaluate your board members constantly on your annual basis. And then my goal was really to be able to tell people on your committee that which they didn't necessarily want to hear, but what they needed to hear to be a more effective committee.
I know you have the opinion that when a new board member joins a board that they should at least have a skill set to be able to chair one of the committees. So talk a little bit about that.
So when you onboard a new director, you immediately look to see what their skill sets are, when you recruit a new director, what their skill sets are, and can they ultimately be a chair? Do they have financial experience? Do they have leadership governance experience? Have they been in a boardroom to understand comp? But I actually also look for whether or not they can chair other committees. Are you getting more than one bang for the buck? There is constant talk about cyber expertise. Is there ultimately going to be a risk committee for cyber only? Probably not immediately, but can they be helpful in different committees? I also like rotating committees. We talked earlier today about stale boards. We don't want stale boards. We want people to look from different vantage points and have different skill sets that they bring to the boardroom.
So, in your years of serving on the board, and you were fortunate to have a financial expertise background that makes you qualified to help serve. But in that experience, what do you think has been most challenging for you, first of all, as a board member of a public company, and secondly, challenging as far as being a board chair?
So I'm a natural doer. I'm naturally a little bit impatient. You're not a member of management, so the rate of change, I always talk about the ROI of my time. As a board member, you're an outsider, you're not an insider of management. So making sure you understand that management doesn't necessarily just answer to you and have to drop everything they're doing. And it is quite a lot of work for a management team to put together presentations for your board meeting. So really respecting that mutuality of respect, that you're not inside, you're really still an outsider. And then I think probably one of the most challenging other things was telling board members who are not attending board meetings and not participating and not really being prepared going into the boardroom, that wasn't acceptable. Again, telling them things they didn't want necessarily hear, but that they needed to hear. That calling into a boardroom might qualify you for your 75% attendance, but quite frankly, you're not a contributing member, and perhaps that's going to come up on the next evaluation cycle.
Good points. So we want to look at being a committee chair sort of down the road a little bit, because we've seen how much it's changed. You look at the comp committee, you look at the governance committee. Audit was always sort of in that mix, but the others have changed very significantly. So if you had to list 3 skill sets that all future board chairs are going to need, what would those 3 be?
Well, I always go to lifelong learner, number 1. And why is it? There is new regulation, there is new evolving things every day that we need to be aware of. If you're not a lifelong learner, you're not using your board education dollars to really keep your ears down to what is happening in the regulatory environment, what is happening new in audit, what is, say, on pay in the comp side, you are not going to be an effective board member. To be a leader, but also be a mentor. That's the second skill set that I think is really important. You need to pull up your new members. You need to actually get them educated to the point where they're ready to jump to be the chair of that committee. And finally, you need to actually be a good listener. You need to hear what everybody has to say, both on your fellow committee members, but you also on management. And being a good listener and processing what other people's opinions are and learning to respect that is actually very key to success in the boardroom.
Well, that is all great advice. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us today. And that will conclude this edition of Inside America's Boardrooms. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back again next week when we take a look at another critical topic to help you be a better board member or committee member. So we'll see you then.
Join us again next week for Inside America's Boardrooms. Brought to you with Knowledge Partners, NASDAQ, the Center for Audit Quality, and PwC. Along with content contributors Equilar, Meridian Compensation Partners, Wilson Sonsini Goodrich and Rosati, R.R. Donnelly, and the Society of Corporate Secretaries and Governance Professionals.